Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley and today I'm going to be updating you on my progress in my 2021 Pan That palette that I am doing in collaboration with the PANtastic Ladies. The PANtastic Ladies are an amazing panning community on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Anywhere there is internet, there are the PANtastic Ladies. And their theme for 2021 is tiny pans. You guys have heard me every single month talk about how much I just love this theme because I'm obsessed with things that are miniature and tiny. I don't know what it is, but I think they're just the most adorable things ever and I can't not buy them because I'm ridiculous. But I knew when I heard this that this was the Pan That palette for me because historically I have done fairly poorly at Pan That palette. So I'm very excited to update you with my progress so far. So this year I am panning my Sleek Cosmetics. I believe this is called When the Sun Goes Down. And the pans in here are microscopically tiny. So let me go ahead and pop up a picture of what my palette looked like last month. And now we'll go ahead and we'll pick up where we are now. Can you guys see the changes? Can you? I have 2 new pans. I could not believe it. Could not believe it. I have 2 new pans. Ridiculously excited. Ridiculously excited. I feel so good about my progress in this project and it just has me feeling incredibly pumped. So, as I've done in every month before, I'm going to put up a couple of pictures to show the palette and how it looked last month versus this month, and we'll talk about how many times I used each of the shades in this palette. So by far, the shade that I used the most, and it's no surprise that it is the one I use the most, is the first shade in this palette. It is what I typically use as an inner corner highlight and a brow bone highlight, especially right now because I am participating in the 50 Shades of Purple project pan. I only have that updating on my Instagram, so if you have not already checked me out there, you should go ahead and do so. But I'm definitely incorporating a ton more purple eyeshadows. I also have some purple eyeshadows in some of my other projects, so it was very easy because this had a slightly pink lean to it. So I was able to get a ton of uses. I used this baby 12 times since our last update to reveal that beautiful, beautiful pan. The second shade in this palette has probably gotten the most use overall. I only used it 5 times last month, but I was able to hit pan on it. And the pan came just the other day. Like, I was shocked when I saw that itty bitty little piece of pan gleaming up at me. I was like, yes! So excited. I've talked about this shade before. It is the only remaining matte in this palette, and it does translate, at least on my skin, to be a lot darker than it appears in the pan. It's a really dark, sort of grayed out purple. And I mean, it worked. I just have to go pretty light-handed with it. Otherwise, it just creates too much of a shadow. So I hit pan on it and I'm so excited about it. So excited. The third shade in this palette is the only shade I didn't use at all. I was really aiming to use everything at least once and I just didn't notice that I hadn't used this shade yet. Otherwise, I would have found a way to incorporate it, but haven't used that one at all this past month, so I will make sure to put it as a priority for the upcoming month. The fourth shade in this palette, I used an additional 7 times. You'll probably be able to see in the kind of before and after, so to speak, but I don't think I've expanded the pan at all. I used it primarily to smudge on my under eyes so that I was getting some use out of it, but it really wasn't a ton. And I wasn't really focusing on the area with pan. I was really kind of putting my brush along the sides to help kind of level out the kind of outer perimeter. I hope that makes sense. So I doubt there's going to be much change visually, but I did use it, what did I say, 7 times. So I feel like that's pretty good. The fifth shade in this palette I used 11 times since our last update. It is very, very similar to the very first shade in this palette, but it has, instead of a slightly pink lean to it, it has a slightly golden lean to it. So for example, it is what I'm wearing on my brow bone and my inner corner for this look today. But to be perfectly frank, this palette did not need both of these shadows. They are so similar that it's only under the right lighting that you can even tell that one has a different lean than the other. So I use them both in exactly the same way. This shade here though is one that I've used less often than I've used the first shade, so pan is going to be a little while yet on it. The sixth shade in the palette I used twice since our last update, so no visual change there, I'm sure. The seventh shade in the palette, which is kind of a metallic gold shade, I also added that to my inner corner today to give it a little bit more punch. And that shade I used 5 times since our last update. The shadow that I was really focusing on though this month is the 8th shadow. I was trying to hit pan on that one, but I only used it 5 times and pan is not yet there, though I'm very much hoping that perhaps I can hit pan pretty soon. I don't know. These shadows, even though the circumference is very small, they are deeper than your standard pan. Not that, again, there's that much product overall. I want to say this only has, 2.4 grams, so basically 2 full eyeshadow pans if you're looking at just sort of indie singles. So certainly, there's not a ton of product overall, but hitting pan is a little bit more challenging because of the depth. I hope that makes sense. The 9th shade in the palette was one that we used up very early in the project. The 10th shade I do already have pan on. I did use it an additional 6 times, but just as we talked about with the shade directly above it, I don't know that you'll be able to see any visual change on the pan because, again, I was predominantly using it to smudge on my lower lash line. So I don't know that you'll be able to see a difference, but again, since I was using more purple shadows across different projects, I did find more ways to incorporate this, but I do certainly want to expand that pan out. The 11th shade in the palette I did use once, and the 12th shade in this palette I actually used twice, which is very exciting. I found a way that I really enjoy wearing the 12th shade, so I think I'll get more usage out of it in the upcoming months, especially now that we are in kind of a warmer time of the year, although today is surprisingly chilly where I am, but I'm not complaining because it's been in the high 90s, so I'll take a cooler day. But, when the weather is warm like that, I tend to gravitate towards warmer shades. So I have a feeling that will get some additional use, especially because it plays so nicely with my Pan Those eyeshadows that I'm currently working on. So that has been a lot of fun to incorporate as well. So that is where the palette itself is, but you guys know I'm a lunatic and I try to pan way too many things, which is why I also keep jumping into additional projects like I don't have enough going on. But a few updates ago, I did incorporate this itty bitty little lipstick. This is a liquid lipstick by Bobbi Brown. This is the Crushed Liquid Lip and the shade is Smoothie Move. I really had thought that I was going to do better with this. I mean, I know we're only in June, but you can't see any difference in this at all. I did use it an additional 6 times since our last update, but that really only brings it up to a total of 17 uses since my introduction into this project. And my girl Danny mentioned that she had panned something of a similar size and it took her 69 uses. That's a lot. So if I'm gonna get anywhere near that, gonna have to work a little bit harder. And speaking of working a little bit harder, we're gonna add another tiny pan into this project because, again, I'm a lunatic and as I said, I'm obsessed with things that are tiny. I have this little face powder from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Airbrush Flawless Finish in the shade One Fair. And you guys, this is just the cutest little powder ever. ever. So I want to finish this guy off and get it out of my collection. I'll keep the packaging because it's flippin' adorable. But I mean, how many uses could this possibly have in it? We're gonna find out. But I know that a lot of people have panned the full size and overwhelmingly have commented that they went through it a lot faster than they were anticipating and that they were on the fence about repurchasing because they blew through it so quickly. So I'm hoping to use that to my advantage with this teeny tiny little baby right here. So we'll see how many times I can use this before it is all gone. So, all right, my friends, what have you been doing with your projects lately? Are you working on a Pan That palette? And if you are, how is it going for you? As always, everything that I am wearing on my face, everything that I am working on, anything of any interest at all is going to be linked down in the description box below. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you are having an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye.